Welcome back to Calmura Tales, the place where we explore hidden truths, strange theories, and chilling predictions that blur the line between fiction and reality. Today's episode dives into one of the most unsettling revelations about a show that many thought was just harmless comedy. That show is The Simpsons. Yes, the long-running animated series that has been making us laugh since 1989 also has a terrifying side. It predicted the climate change crisis long before it became a household concern. These aren't just jokes, they're reflections of real scientific concerns and political debates, dramatized through satire to shock viewers into awareness, which aired in 2000. In this episode, Lisa becomes an environmental activist, fighting to save Springfield's oldest tree from being cut down. At first glance, it's a light-hearted story about protecting nature, but beneath the surface lies a much more serious critique of corporate greed and environmental destruction. During a brief weather report, the temperature soars to unthinkable highs, yet the news anchor Kent Brockman treats it as just another day. This seemingly trivial gag now feels prophetic. In recent years, unprecedented heat waves have broken records around the world, from Europe to North America, Asia to Australia. In 2021 and 2022 alone, temperatures soared to historic highs, triggering wildfires, droughts, and widespread health crises. In several episodes, Springfield's mayor dismisses climate catastrophes as mere weather events or blames the victims. It's easy to write off one episode as a coincidence, but multiple episodes focusing on environmental destruction, political inaction, social collapse, and climate denial indicate a deliberate pattern. Global average temperatures have climbed steadily. Arctic sea ice is disappearing faster than expected. Extreme weather events strike more often. Coral reefs are dying. The show captured the frustration, denial, and complacency that characterize much of the global response to climate change. Characters like Lisa Simpson, the show's environmental conscience, remind us that individual and collective action matters. Her passion for protecting the environment, her activism, and her refusal to accept complacency show that change is possible. The show doesn't just mock the status quo, it encourages viewers to challenge it. It gave us a darkly humorous but prescient view of what happens when societies fail to listen to warnings and prioritize short-term profits over sustainability. Forests are burning. The evidence of environmental tipping points grows, and despite this, global carbon emissions remain stubbornly high. International climate agreements, while promising, have struggled to keep pace with the urgency of the problem. First, educate ourselves and others about the realities of climate change. Second, support policies and leaders committed to meaningful climate action. Third, reduce our own environmental footprints through lifestyle changes, such as conserving energy, reducing waste, and advocating for sustainability. Fourth, amplify voices of climate activists and communities most affected by climate impacts. It pushes us to ask uncomfortable questions. What role do we play in environmental degradation? How complicit are governments and corporations? What sacrifices are we willing to make? Can satire galvanize real-world change? The show's writing team includes scientists, political analysts, and intellectuals who base their satire on real-world data and trends. We have scientific knowledge, technology, and social movements that could steer us toward a sustainable path. Renewable energy, electric vehicles, conservation efforts, and international cooperation are already reshaping parts of the world. The challenge is scaling these solutions rapidly and the show acts as a cultural barometer, forecasting social challenges and ecological crises that we may face if we do not change course. This mirrors real-life tendencies of politicians to downplay climate disasters or deflect blame, prioritizing short-term interests over long-term solutions. But the trends were clear. Rising temperatures, more frequent and intense natural disasters, environmental degradation, social and political turmoil. These elements are central to scientific climate projections, especially those from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. In fact, many scenarios depicted in the show align closely with worst-case projections scientists have warned about. That's the scary part. It's not fantasy. It's plausible, probable. For example, during California's deadly wildfires in recent years, some officials initially minimized the role of climate change or blamed forest management alone. The show's satirical portrayals shine a light on the dangers of denial and obfuscation. They remind us that ignoring or dismissing scientific evidence exacerbates harm. Despite the obvious danger, the media and political figures often treat these events with detached normalcy or downplay their significance, much like Kent Brockman's casual tone. This episode captures the growing disconnect between the escalating climate emergency and societal response, a disconnect that risks costing lives. The logging company's determination to clear the forest triggers a cascade of ecological damage. The air becomes toxic, plants start dying, and the ecosystem collapses. Take Bart to the future, an episode better known for predicting Donald Trump's presidency. The episode imagines a future where President Lisa Simpson grapples with massive national debt, ecological collapse, and social unrest. While many remember the Trump joke, the larger theme is the failure of leadership to address the growing crises, especially environmental ones. The episode paints a bleak picture of a future shaped by political stagnation and climate inaction, where social services are overwhelmed and the planet is under threat. It's a powerful commentary on the intertwined fate of politics and the environment, urging viewers to consider how decisions made today impact generations to come. This episode highlights a key driver of climate change: deforestation. Graffiti on a wall reads "Water for you," highlighting rising water levels and the threat of climate-induced displacement. The scene set today, rising sea levels are forcing communities worldwide to relocate, while flooding events are becoming more frequent and severe. What once was satire is now a reality for millions. In real life, deforestation accounts for roughly 10 to 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions, making it a major contributor to the warming planet. The parallels are uncanny. 2 decades ago, the show warned about the consequences of destroying natural habitats. Today, we're seeing massive deforestation in places like the Amazon rainforest, which threatens global biodiversity and accelerates climate change. Lisa's fight is more relevant than ever, a call to action wrapped in yellow cartoon skin. When you examine these episodes collectively, a picture emerges, a mosaic of warnings that show what might happen if society ignores the climate crisis. Springfield is chosen to host the Olympic Games, and in preparation, the town dumps toxic waste into the local river, leading to catastrophic environmental consequences. Fish mutate into glowing creatures, and the ecosystem is devastated. Although exaggerated for comedic effect, this storyline reflects real-world issues such as water pollution, toxic waste dumping, and ocean acidity. Over the past decades, pollution has severely damaged aquatic ecosystems worldwide, threatening marine life and the livelihoods of millions of people. Coral reefs are bleaching and dying, ocean plastics choke marine animals, and toxic chemical spills make headlines too often. This episode serves as a grim reminder that short-term economic gains achieved through environmental degradation come with devastating costs. And some of those scenarios are no longer just cartoons, they're becoming reality. And not only did it predict it, but it also portrayed the consequences of humanity's inaction in a way that is now strikingly real. This is not just a coincidence or a funny gag, it's a pattern. It's a series of warnings wrapped in satire that we ignored for far too long. If you think this is just another fan theory, stay tuned, because the evidence is strong, the implications profound, and the future, well, it might already be written in those yellow frames. To begin, let's take a moment to appreciate the sheer cultural weight of The Simpsons. Created by Matt Groening, the show debuted in 1989 and quickly became a worldwide phenomenon. What started as a quirky sitcom about a dysfunctional American family evolved into a platform for biting social commentary, political satire, and uncanny predictions. Over the course of more than 700 episodes, the writers have tackled everything from technology and politics to environmental issues and human nature. Many times, the show has seemed to predict the future, from Donald Trump's presidency to the discovery of the Higgs boson particle. But the climate change predictions are among the most chilling, because they don't just reveal a quirky coincidence. They reflect a deep understanding of our environmental trajectory and the dangers it entails. In episode after episode, The Simpsons has portrayed a world suffering from environmental neglect, corporate greed, government failure, and public apathy. Let us start with one of the most memorable episodes, Lisa the Tree Hugger from Season 12. Another episode that eerily mirrors our real environmental woes is The Old Man and the Sea Student from Season 10. We also cannot overlook a classic moment from scenes from the class struggle in Springfield. But The Simpsons didn't stop at depicting environmental degradation. it also highlighted the socio-political consequences of climate change. Another lesser-known but impactful episode is that '90s show, which includes a brief scene where characters mock global warming activists until floodwaters overwhelm the town. Beyond the environmental disasters themselves, The Simpsons consistently critiqued the failure of governments and corporations to act responsibly. What makes The Simpsons especially fascinating in this regard is the consistency of these themes across decades. The predictions weren't always precise in terms of timing or details. In the years since these episodes aired, the real-world climate crisis has accelerated. This growing disconnect between scientific knowledge and political action is exactly what The Simpsons portrayed with biting satire. But there is also a message of hope hidden in these episodes. This is where The Simpsons transcends being just entertainment and becomes a tool for reflection and inspiration. The answer lies with us. While The Simpsons can illustrate possible futures, only humans can write the final chapter. So what can we do after watching these stark Simpsons warnings?